Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful, incredibly raw narrative from Dr. Bruce Kaplan. We're going to unpack his 45-year journey. Yes, 45 years navigating multiple sclerosis, or MS. And look, this isn't your typical dry medical case study, not at all. It's a profoundly personal, totally unfiltered look at what it actually takes to survive, to adapt, and to literally keep standing after more than 4 decades of chronic illness. If you've ever wondered about the hidden, everyday reality of long-term disease, or honestly, just how relentlessly the human body and mind can adapt, well, this explainer is going to completely shift your perspective.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. Right off the bat, Dr. Kaplan completely shatters the normal way we talk about health. You know, when we ask someone how they're doing, we usually expect to hear about good days and bad days, right? It implies this neat little balance. But that symmetry, it just doesn't exist for him anymore. After 45 years with MS, he drops this startling truth. The genuinely good days, the ones where he feels absolutely fine, are just gone. Instead, he operates on a totally different spectrum now, one that's basically measured in degrees of bad.
Section 1. The Good Day Myth. Redefining the baseline of chronic illness.
So we really need to reset our expectations of what a normal day actually looks like for someone who hasn't been symptom-free since the late 1980s. The stark reality of his life goes a bit like this. On the one hand, you have what he calls a less bad day. Now, on these days, the symptoms are tolerable. The pain is manageable, his legs cooperate just enough to give him some reasonable stability, and the MS basically fades into background noise. But then, there's the bad day. This is when the disease just roars into the foreground. We are talking about significant, intense pain. It's an exhausting expenditure of energy just to do the absolute basics, like taking a shower or making a cup of coffee. It literally becomes a physical battle just to sit in a chair.
To truly grasp what drives those good and bad days, we really have to look at the sheer volume of symptoms Dr. Kaplan manages every single day. We're talking constant pain, severe fatigue, poor balance, myoclonic jerking, drop foot, neurogenic bladder, and brain fog. It is a lot. And not a single day goes by without some form of these symptoms popping up. But here's the real kicker. They don't follow any sort of predictable schedule. The severity can literally fluctuate minute by minute. He might feel relatively stable in the morning and then be barely functional by the afternoon. You can imagine the sheer unpredictability is just a massive tax on his body, his ability to plan his day, and of course, his mental health.
Section 2. Inside a Bad Moment. The Private Emotional Toll of MS.
You see, managing the physical symptoms, that's really only half the battle. That constant unpredictability we just talked about leads to these hidden emotional breaking points that the outside world rarely ever sees. He shared this incredibly vulnerable moment. Yesterday, the muscles in my hand went into spasm and wouldn't let up. I lost it. Notice, it wasn't some dramatic rush to the hospital or a major medical emergency. It was just a single hand spasm. But in that private space where he lives with this disease 24/7, that one spasm broke something open. It was the sudden, overwhelming surfacing of 45 years of accumulated frustration, the deep fatigue, and that heavy realization that no matter how hard he works, the disease just keeps taking. It's a remarkably raw admission, especially from a guy who has literally dedicated his life to understanding healing and resilience. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that this emotional weight, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Dr. Kaplan openly notes that his anger and resentment do occasionally boil over. And sadly, it's often his wife, who has stood by his side through all of it, who ends up absorbing the impact. He points out a really vital truth here. MS is deeply, deeply a family issue. The reality of chronic illness is that the fallout, both the physical and the emotional toll, inevitably ripples out to the people closest to you.
Section 3. Tools to keep moving. Physical, emotional, and alternative adaptations. But listen, those bad moments don't define the whole picture. While he obviously can't cure the bad days, he has found some pretty profound ways to affect their severity. And his first major tool is actually quite surprising. It's the carnivore or lion diet. About 2.5 years ago, he made a really radical shift. He entirely eliminated plants from his diet and focused strictly on animal-based foods. And for a man who has tried pretty much every diet under the sun over the last 4 decades, he actually marks this as one of the most critical changes he's made in the last 10 years for his overall functioning. It's a real game changer for him.
Section 4. The Power of Neuroplasticity. Rewiring the Nervous System.
Now, alongside that nutrition piece, he has embraced a fascinating physical therapy approach. And what's really interesting here is the specific technology he's using. It's called the NeuFit Newbie, which is a neuro-bioelectric stimulator. But unlike your standard TENS devices that just target the muscles, this thing delivers direct current electrical stimulation specifically targeted at the nervous system itself. It operates on the amazing principle of neuroplasticity. Basically, that's the incredible capacity of the brain and nervous system to literally form new neural pathways, essentially creating a detour around the damaged tissue. To put that into perspective, when he started this therapy 20 months ago, he could barely stand without holding on to something.
Section 5. Still standing at 70. A timeline of resilience.
To truly appreciate the impact of these therapies, we really need to zoom out and view them through the lens of his timeline. 31. That is the age Dr. Kaplan was when he first experienced the relapse back in the late 1980s and officially got diagnosed with MS. It hit him right in the absolute prime of his dental career, forcing him to navigate this massive professional loss and figure out a total reinvention right from the get-go.
Let's move to 45. That is the staggering number of years he has lived with this disease. Just let that sink in. 45 years of daily symptoms, adapting through decades of medical evolution, and acting as his own guinea pig trying every alternative therapy he could possibly find.
And then 70. Next month, Dr. Kaplan turns 70 years old. That means he has spent well over half of his entire life navigating multiple sclerosis.
Which brings us to 48. 48 feet, to be exact. This right here is the massive clinical triumph he achieved recently. During a physical therapy assessment with that newbie device we talked about, he walked exactly 48 feet completely unassisted. No walker, no cane, no holding onto the wall. Just his own 2 feet after 45 years of MS. That is huge.
Now, we do need to contextualize that victory just a bit. Dr. Kaplan is very clear about the difference between a clinical victory and his daily reality. Walking those 48 feet unassisted in a clinic was a monumental proof of concept. But out in his everyday life, at the grocery store or just getting around the house, he still uses a rollator walker or a transport chair just for safety and stability. So the 48 feet isn't his new everyday normal, but it is absolute, undeniable proof that the nervous system is not static. It can actually be coaxed into finding new routes.
So when people ask him how in the world he is still standing after all this time, his answer is this multifaceted combination of factors. It's the strict dietary and physical therapy choices. It's the decades of bravely exploring alternative therapies and his staunch refusal to just accept a pharmaceutical-only path. He humbly admits that, yeah, luck and genetics likely play a big role too, but perhaps the most vital ingredient on this entire list? Pure unyielding stubbornness. He simply refuses to let the disease define him or stop him from moving forward.
He has fully accepted that the truly good days are gone. But in their place, he has found profound purpose. He writes, "There are only less bad ones. And on the less bad days, I try to do something meaningful with the energy I have." He actively chooses to spend that precious energy around his family and friends, finding the joy, the love, and the laughter that kind of quiets the noise of all his symptoms. He has decided that making the absolute most of the less bad days, well, it's enough. Dr. Kaplan ends his reflections with a really powerful question for his readers, and I actually want to pose it directly to you as we close out this explainer. Knowing what a baseline of chronic illness looks like and seeing the immense draining effort required just to achieve a less bad day, what does a good day look like for you? Have you stopped expecting truly good days, or do you fully appreciate the ones you have? It's a pretty profound thought to leave you with, and a beautiful reminder to find meaning in whatever energy you have today. Thanks for joining me, and take care.